Well, first of all, thank you, Kiefer, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I want to thank Dr. Lowe. Thank you for being here. Senator Rosapep, thank you for your leadership on this issue. Marcia, thank you for your leadership, for being here, and for everything that you've done for charter schools. I want to thank our two principals, both of you, for your leadership of the College Park Academy. What incredible leaders you've been. And I've never been put in a worse position than to follow Darian. I mean, wow. I'm going to talk to my communications team about that. But I'm very impressed with you, and I think he deserves another big round of applause. Darian did a wonderful job. I'm really impressed with the students here, and I think Darian did a very nice job of representing the rest of the group. And I don't like following him, but I'm going to try to do my best. Jim Rosapep, Senator here, serves on the board of directors here. He was instrumental, and Dr. Lowe is very involved in the university. College Park is very involved in this. What is an incredible example of what public charter schools can achieve when they're given the necessary support that they need. From day one of our administration, education has been our top priority. With our latest budget, we have now 5 years in a row of record funding for K through 12 education. We've committed $32 billion to K through 12, which is more than has ever been invested in our public schools in the history of the state. And thanks to an overwhelming majority of Maryland voters, we were successful in passing the Lockbox Initiative, which will provide another $4.4 billion that will go directly into K through 12 education, the vast majority of which will go directly into the classrooms for critical things like teacher salaries and pre-kindergarten expansion, extended academic programming for at-risk students, and innovative career technology education programs. We announced the creation of a Building Opportunity Fund to fulfill nearly all of the local funding requests for upgrades and repairs to aging schools, and we're continuing to advocate for creative solutions for improving education with innovative new programs like P-TECH, BARD, and our access and coding initiatives. We're working hard to make our schools safer. We've been leading the fight for more accountability in our local school systems. We also owe it to our kids to think more creatively. And we owe it to Maryland families who are demanding that we expand the choices that are available to them. In 2015, we enacted the Public Charter School Improvement Act, and we have pushed repeatedly for additional legislation to fix our state's restrictive and vague public charter school laws in order to give parents better alternatives that prepare children for higher education and for the jobs of the future. A few months ago, we held a roundtable discussion at KIPP Academy in Baltimore City. We brought together business leaders, teachers, parents, and students, and we solicited their input, and we got suggestions on how we could assist and encourage the growth of public charter schools in our state. I see Yehuda Newberger in the back of the room there, who's also a leading advocate for public charter schools and was a leader of that discussion. But one of the concerns that we heard repeatedly brought up was that the public charters are not getting the support necessary to provide these kids with the modern, efficient, and safe learning environments that they deserve or that they're getting here at the College Park Academy. 15 schools in Baltimore City without air conditioning and proper heat are public charter schools. The state has provided a total of $4 billion to local school systems for capital improvements over the last decade, but less than 1% of those funds have gone to our public charter schools. Inexplicably and sadly, recommendations for public charter schools were completely left out of the legislature's Kerwin Commission report. I believe very strongly, as Kiefer said, that every single child in our state deserves access to a world-class education, regardless of what neighborhood they happen to grow up in. And for many of our children who need help the most, public charters are one of the most effective and proven alternatives and solutions. And as a direct result of the productive discussions and ongoing meetings that we've had with key stakeholders, we're here today to make a couple of important announcements regarding Maryland's public charter schools. First, we are designating an additional $2.6 million specifically for construction-related projects at public charter schools. Last year, we enacted legislation to create the Healthy School Facility Fund, which ensures repairs to those Maryland public schools that need our help the most. It is literally about saving kids from sweating during the warm weather and from freezing in the winter. Our new fiscal 2020 budget will direct an additional $1.2 million from the Healthy School Facility Fund directly and force local school systems to fix the basic heating and air conditioning issues, as well as some other maintenance improvements at these neglected public charter schools. We are also introducing the Public Charter School Facilities Act of 2019, which will provide $1,600 in per pupil funding for every single public charter school student. Public charter schools already have limited resources to begin with and are often then forced to divert these resources for things like rent and facilities repairs, which prevents them from having the funds needed to invest in innovative programs and in classroom activities. Across the nation, charter schools are leading the way and providing an incredible alternative. President Obama called public charter schools the incubators of innovation. Washington, D.C. has provided $140 million in funding. And public charter schools just this year, they included $3,000 per student for public charters. Sadly, here in Maryland, in spite of overwhelming public support, something like more than 80% of the people in Maryland support public charter schools. And in minority communities, in Baltimore City and in Prince George's County, it's nearly 90% support. And yet, in spite of that, our public charters are not being supported by our local school systems, and they're not receiving the support in the legislature. So the Public Charter School Facility Fund Act of 2019 will seek to correct this problem by giving charters access to much-needed facility funding and to ensure that more Maryland children will receive the opportunity to learn in some of our incredible public charters like College Park Academy, which fully meet the 21st century needs of Maryland students, teachers, and taxpayers. We look forward to working with the members of our legislature on both sides of the aisle to help pass this legislation and to help these deserving kids to expand the opportunities for more Maryland students and families. Thank you, and with that, we'll be happy to take a few questions from the media. Any questions from our friends in the